Hi everyone, it's Fred again from Notes of a Nomad, video number 279. Yesterday was a great day, very enjoyable. Spent some time with friends and went on the ferry from Vancouver Island to Vancouver area. It was wonderful being on the ferry. It's an hour and 40 minutes ride through some beautiful part of the world on the Gulf Islands and so on. So this is a picture of one of the ferries at one of the other docks as I was leaving Victoria. And I traveled on the ferry with my car to Tsawwassen, which is close to Vancouver. And Ken came from Nanaimo as a foot passenger on a ferry. And I collected him because his ferry arrived probably 20 minutes or so after mine arrived. And we then drove to Dave's house in Langley, which is about 45 kilometers or so from Vancouver. I've done a previous video, but this was just a great example of what we were doing and how enjoyable it was. This is some of the cars on the ferry. This is Charlie, my favorite car of all time. My faithful chariot, as I called it, where I went to Tuktoyaktuk last year in Charlie. But these are some of the vehicles, and you can see some of the people as we leave and go up to the upper decks on the ferry. And this is a deck looking out. We are approaching Tsawwassen, so it's very calm. You can see the water. And while we were traveling, we saw some other boats. For example, this was a freighter leaving Vancouver, obviously full because you can see how low it is in the water, on its way to somewhere probably in Asia. And we also saw other ferries. When you're going, there's ferries coming from Tsawwassen and going to Vancouver Island. So there's a great example of the ferry on the other side, uh, going in the opposite direction. And there's a lot of there's coffee shops and lounge and even restaurants on board. The ferry is very large, takes big semi trucks as well. So, but it's such a beautiful part of the world. As you go through the Gulf Islands, you see the houses, overlooking the ocean. And there's some beautiful houses, with some of the people have their docks and their boats as well. So it just shows you how lucky we are to be living where we are. When we got to Dave's place in Langley, which is about 45 kilometers from Vancouver up the Fraser River in Langley, I said, "Where are we going to go?" And he said, "Do you like fish and chips?" And I said, "Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to order no matter where we went." And he took us to this fish and chip shop, and they had something on the menu which was all you can eat fish and chips for $20.99. With the amount of fish and chips that I ate, I don't think they made much profit out of me, but I really felt like fish and chips, and this was wonderful. And then after that, we went to Dave's place. There's Dave and Ken and myself. We're all in our 80s now. I turn 83 next month. Ken turns 82. And I think Dave's up in the 81, 82 age group as well. So we're all talking, playing crib. This is a picture from previously. This wasn't yesterday. This was a previous visit. But while we're chatting and playing crib and laughing, we always talk about, what's going on now that we're feeling for our age, slowing down, our health. There's issues here and there. And then what do we do? Some people go to old age homes, but that doesn't probably suit any of us. So it's interesting accommodation. And of course, the mental challenges. I think it was Maurice Chevalier who said old age isn't so bad when you consider the alternative. And I think we are very fortunate because we've lost some of our friends and we live in a beautiful part of the world. And what's going on in the world today is quite fascinating, with all the politics and all the new technologies coming out, like self-driving cars. If I'm around in the self-driving cars, which are predicted to be out, that's my next car. I won't even have to drive myself around. The car will drive me around. So hopefully it comes in the next couple of years, and that's the next car I want to buy. So I'm going to have Charlie until then. And those are some of the things we spoke about. How fortunate we are and how old age is challenging. But as Maurice Chevalier said, old age ain't so bad when you consider the alternative. So it was a great day. Really had fun. Ate some great fish and chips. Played some great cribbage together with cards, with friends. What a wonderful day. So that's from Notes of a Nomad. Enjoy your life as much as you can with the people you can. So wishing you, your family and friends lots of love and laughter. Enjoy life as much as it is, much as you can while you have it. Bye for now. Until next time, from Fred and Notes of a Nomad.